We're now ready to go with example number 4 on inequalities. So there again, it's on the board, it's on the screen. Look at the examples that were uploaded to you. And we have our steps again. Inequalities, 1 page, 2 ideas, critical values, number line. Trying to keep it as simple as possible. All right, we will always pull the question over and change the relationship to an equal. All right, that'll be done without exception. We're always going to do that. There's no exception on the solve equation or no question mark. So it just depends on the type of equation. And this one would be linear again because the x is to the first power. So that's assignment 8. There's no fractions to clear, but there would be distributing. Negative 10 plus 6x would equal 8x plus 7. You got to keep them separated. X is on one side, numbers on the other, which would prompt you to hopefully add the 10 over, start getting your x's and your numbers on opposite sides. And this would be 6x equals 8x plus 17. And then you subtract over the 8x. This is all old stuff. Again, the equation part of this, we need to be able to run through pretty quickly. So we have negative 2x equals 17. And then we divide both sides by negative 2. And if it's a nice pretty decimal, you might as well take advantage of that. I believe that that would be negative 8.5, negative 8.5. Linear equations only produce one value. This only has one critical value. Let's talk about division by 0. That's always something you should check for, but there's no fractions. So there again, only concern yourself with the undefined critical value type 2, if you will, if there's fractions. And we don't have that here. So our number line in this case is pretty simple. We only have one critical number, negative 8.5. All right, let's talk about whether it's going to be included or excluded in the final solution. Well, what does that have to do with? Well, does the question want us to find numbers that make the 2 equal? No, that's an empty circle. There's no equal there. This number makes the 2 equal. That's not in the question. So we look at negative 8.5, we say, you don't really work, negative 8.5. You make the 2 things equal, and there's no equal there. Strictly less than. There's no equal. We want less on this question. We want less. We want less. All right, so now it's time to test numbers. And again, we'll pick a number down here below negative 8.5. Again, I like negative 10, and we put it in for x. So we have negative 2, parentheses, 5. I'm going to do a little mental arithmetic. You can handle it. What's negative 3 times negative 10? Positive 30. That would change to a plus 30, wouldn't it? All right. I always put a question mark here because we don't know the relationship yet. Just like the beginning of a date. It's too early to tell. We put negative 10 in over here. 8 times negative 10 is negative 80 plus 7. This side turns out to be negative 73. This side, we would do what's in the parentheses. 5 plus 30 is 35. Not quite over yet, still a question mark. That's negative 70, and that's negative 73. And you would hopefully look at that and say, you know what? Negative 70 is actually more than negative 73. It's greater. Why did I put that in red? I hope you can tell. Because greater is not the relationship. See, this question is going to change from one question to the next. Don't memorize stuff. Do what the question asks. If they want you to find numbers that make this thing less than that thing, then look at it and go, no, that didn't do it. So these numbers don't work over here. So you jump over here, right? And you say, all right, what would be a number that we could pick up here? Well, I'd pick 0. 0 always makes easy arithmetic when you plug it in for x. So this would be negative 2, parentheses 5, minus 3 times 0. 3 times 0 is 0. That'll just be a 5 in the parentheses there. See, that's why we pick 0. It makes easy arithmetic. If you put 0 in over here, 8 times 0 is 0, plus 7. So anyway, this side is negative 10. This side is 7. And you would hopefully look at that and say, yeah, you know what? Negative 10 is ding, 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 less than 7. Ding, ding, ding. And so less than. See? Look, it matched it. So you'd look at that and go, hey, our test number gave us less than. And that tells us any number up here where 0 lives think about a number line here. Any number up here is going to work. Yay, that gives us the relationship, because this question we wanted less. We wanted less. So anyway, hit pause if you need to. I know I'm talking fast, but look, that's the idea. Equation number line is mechanical. So solve the equations like we've learned before, and crunch numbers like we've learned before. I don't know. I'm just trying to keep it as simple as possible. So, to write up the final answer, and again, intervals are always left to right, just like reading a book. So we keep reading and we go, okay, -8.5 would be the leftmost number that got picked here. We're going to leave it out, right? That should be a rounded parenthesis. That's the symbol for exclusion, comma, infinity. And infinity always has that parenthesis next to it. Okay, so, I don't know, I'm doing my best here. That would be the answer to this. Circle it, it's done. Let's just play a little bit of what if to check understanding here. What if Mr. Salamander decided to put an equal to on a question? Suppose I pulled up my editor and put an equal on it. A different question, slightly different. Well, what would that do? That would take this number where equal happened, and it would now work, wouldn't it? So visually, that would fill in, wouldn't it? Because now, notice in this new question I just made up, equal to is a relationship in the question. And so that would just simply change that rounded parenthesis into a squared off bracket, and all the rest of the question would have been done identical. So it just depends, as to whether the equal to is in the question or not. As it turns out, again, on that one, the major operator, the relationship was less, wasn't it? So on this question, we wanted less.
Who thinks less is better than more?
Okay, why?
Less is better than more.
Because if stuff is not what,
If there's more stuff,
then you might want to
have some less, and you're
parents don't let you because there's only a little.
Right.
You want
less,
you want
less,
like you really like it. You want
less.
I follow you. It's not complicated.
Less is better.
And AT&T has the nation's largest 4G network.
See, on this question, less was better. All right? That was kind of a lesser known version of that commercial.